Hi guys, good morning. If you're watching this video, my name is Ariante. Please like and subscribe to my channel to grow with me. Today's video I wanted to make is called The Inner War, or The War with Self. And this video I made is because I've been studying the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, I say that on most of my videos lately because it's been, something I've been focusing on. And I'm still in the beginning, but I wanted to kind of talk about this war that's happening in the book because it's so representative for me of the war of the self. And so I wanted to make a video on it to kind of explain better. So I'm going to leave out like a lot of the, little details and stick to the main points of it so that it's easier to follow. But the book starts off that there are two brothers, and one brother dies and the other brother takes over. And when the other brother takes over, his sons feel angry and upset about him taking over the kingdom. And so the one that took over the kingdom has 100 sons. And so now we'll fast forward to the cousins growing up. You have this group of angry cousins and this other group of not angry cousins. They don't really feel any ill will. They're more about truth, love, and light. And then you have these other cousins that are more about ego, fighting, and it's not necessarily bad. I guess it's just representative of the lower self. Like, they're more so aggressive, they're more so take power, don't earn power type of deal. And so now they're going to go into this big war. And it gets really good because there's a huge spin on this. Well, it was a huge spin for me, but they're going into war. And when they go into war, God pretty much comes to them and says, one of you can have God, who is Krishna, and the other of you can have all the strongest men on your team to fight in this war. You have the strongest men of the land. And so they end up doing something to choose who gets to choose. And the more truthful cousins are the ones that get to choose. So of course they choose to take God, because if we're going to go into war, of course I want God on my side. You can't beat me if I have God, right? And then so the other team gets all the strongest men. So they have men that have the hugest muscles, men that are immortal, men that have all these kinds of powers. That's like, how could they lose too, So it's just that beautiful battle. But then you have the ultimate of God, or Sri Krishna, on this team. And so they're going into battle, and before they go into battle, the team that has God, it has Arjun, and Arjun is pretty much the leader of the war. And Arjun and Krishna are talking, and they're going into this war. And of course, he's feeling good. He's feeling confident. They're going to win the war. They have God on their team. Even if the other team is going to fight or whatever, of course they have God. And so he's about to go into the fight. And when he's going into the fight, he's talking to Krishna, and Krishna pretty much tells him, listen, we're going into this war, but look who you're fighting. These are all your cousins. These are all your uncles. These are your brothers, your sisters. This is your family. This is who you grow up around. So even though there's this separation of the cousins, you're about to fight all of your family. And once this war is over, half of your family is going to be gone. Half of you is going to be gone. And it brings Arjun into this horrible place, because now he's thinking about this war. Even though he knows he can win this war, now he's looking at it so differently because he's looking at who he's going to fight. And so I think this is a battle of the egoic self and the inner self. Because in your inner self, that's where you have God, that's where you have the soul. And in your outer self, that's where you have your ego, that's where you have your power, your strength, that's where you have your emotions, that's where you war in an earthly plane. But on the inside, you have God, you have your spiritual plane, you have where you fight for yourself spiritually. And so it was such an interesting turn for Krishna to tell him that, because now he just sunk down low. Like, now he lost all his confidence in this war, because it's like, how can I kill my own people? This is not a great war to fight in. I don't want to win. I'd rather be a slave to everyone forever and be a beggar on the ground than to win this war and then have to live the rest of my life knowing that I killed half of my family to keep this power. And so he didn't expect that when he chose God, when he chose the side of God, that God would give him that duality inside of himself to think about. So then God even goes even further, or Krishna goes further to tell him, So Krishna goes even further to tell him that even though I told you that, that is your empathy or your compassion. That's your empathy. That is your earthly emotions that make you feel bad about this war. You still have a duty that you have to fight this war for your people, because you have to remember that even though this is your family, they are pretty much fighting for greed and for power. That's what they want. You want righteousness and truthfulness, so you still have a duty to fight. And so it picks him up back from that dark hole that he was in, because he was going to give up on the whole war. And so I think that detail is, we have a higher self and a lower self. We have our egoic self and we have our inner self. Your inner self is with God or Krishna or your soul. Your outer self is your ego, how you present to the world, how you show yourself. And although in life people are choosing to fight in different sides of this war, you have egoic people and you have holy people, or people that choose to go inside themselves, that choose their religion, their spirituality, their morals. You have people that choose their fashion, they choose to be out and boisterous, and they choose to have value in their money and their power and things like that. But what we as people have to remember is, even if we are to be holy and choose our inner self and our higher self, that can still be used for egoic need too, if we use it the wrong way. So the reason he said you still have a duty to win, you still have a duty to beat your outer self, is because first he wanted to give him the empathy. This is your family. This is still a part of you. So your ego is still a part of you. So we shouldn't judge people who live from the ego, who live from that. We have to understand that's still a part of us. And we want to conquer that part of us. So that's why he goes a step further and says, but you have a duty to still win. So you have a duty to still be your higher self, but you also have a duty to not use your higher self as your ego and use it as why you're better than the next or why you're better than everyone else. And so it's that duality of war, that duality of the fight within yourself. You have the ego, it's a part of you, it's gonna show. You have your inner self or your godlike self, but it's for you to never judge your egoic self, but always conquer your egoic self. So in that way, you are still having a whole human experience. You're not leaving alone the fact that you're human, but you never do it with the intent that you want power or control or anything of that nature. You do it with the intent that you want love and truth and peace. And so you do everything that you do out of love. And so what is it to win that war and beat your ego if at the end of it, half of you is dead and you just use it for your higher self? If I'm walking around like, I'm God, I'm better than everyone because I'm righteous, I don't have sex until marriage, I don't do this, I don't do that, I eat this way, I'm great, then you're just using it for power and control, just like someone would use the love of their ego. So in that way, your higher self could still be your ego if not conquered righteously, and understand and have that compassion that ego is still in you too, and we are all just human, having a whole human experience. And I just thought that was so profound, and I hope that it made sense to you and I didn't lose you guys in it, but it was just a powerful perspective. And again, any of these holy books can be it could be translated any kind of way you want it, interpreted any kind of way you want it, but on my channel you're going to get Ariante's way. And so that was just a beautiful concept to take from the book, and I have so much more to share with you guys as I read and learn. So please like and subscribe to my channel to grow with me. I love you, and I hope you guys have a great day.